Hello, everybody, and welcome to our regular Saturday morning edition of Urfspace Live. With me, your host, Chuck Whelan, and I'll be joined shortly by my co-host, Mr. Dale Sipperley. But first of all, I want to say thank you very much to everybody who backed Astrokitty on Kickstarter. Yes, here it is, Astrokitty on Urfspace. Ooh. Oh, that's nice. So that was one of the benefits of being back with a producer, is we've got sound effects again. I've been here on my own for the last month doing some live drawings, so we're going to start off by taking a look at those. And let's welcome Dale. Where's Dale? Here, he's in here somewhere. There he is. Oh, he's down there. Let's bring him up.
Hey,
there we go. Hey, Dale.
I'm glad to be back to spread my bitterness and angst to our audience. And now Chuck's volume is off.
Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, if you turn that one off, I go muted because that was my first camera.
What was the quote that you sent me last night about our show? We're not a home to Mr. Cockup.
It was that we're not home to Mr. Cockup. But wait, go back to the last back because I want to show Dale some of the drawings I did.
Can't go to the large one without you being muted, apparently. You just told me that.
No, but I just want this. Yeah, like this so you can see this.
Oh, okay.
Now, these are the live day drawings that you did for your Kickstarter.
Yes. So I did some 2-hour shows, much like this one, where I came on and did some drawings. I sort of started off quickly and then I got slowly. I sort of got more ambitious as I went along. This was one of the first ones I did, where I did of Astrokitty. Now, this one I took a body of a model and then I added an Astrokitty head because it was like one of those shots where it shows you the outfit but it doesn't show the head. It was a bit weird. Although it's kind of when I was drawing her hands, she had quite old hands. I was like, oh wait, I think I know why they're not showing.
Okay, and was that dip pen brush?
No, not yet. Not yet. This one I was doing, I think, with a Sharpie because it was the first one I did. So yeah, I sort of did that one quite easy. But then I probably it looks like I did a marker for the black as well. Okay. So that was there. But I was upgrading myself as I went along. Here's another one from day one. So the first one I did, I was quite ambitious. I sort of set off and I was going quite quick. I burned through a few. Oh, she's jumped ahead. Wait, you're not. You weren't on day one. This one also day one. I don't know. This one I sort of made more out of my head. Again, I sort of had a bit of an outfit, but I was like, I lost track of what I was doing a bit. I was like, I think I actually did another one that day. So there was 4. I decided 4 was too much hard work. I started doing less and less as I went on.
I like the ones up here.
This was a good one. I did this a bit later on, but this model, Malice McMahon, she shared it out. That was good. That got me a lot of likes. So that was good. I boosted I got my Instagram count up over 1,500, so that was good. And my TikTok
really
getting up to 1,000.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, that's another one from day one.
If you get rid of the bots, that's like about 5 people.
Well, if I look at the actual number of people that went through my to follow, I don't think there's many bots. The bots sort of unfollow you after a bit because they get banned.
Mm-hmm. On Kickstarter?
No, on Instagram.
Oh, on Instagram.
Like people you get every day. There's some that come on and then some that go off, and I think those are largely bots.
Interesting.
I like that one a lot because it reminds me a bit of Larry Wells's work.
Oh, well, okay, thank you. Nice black and white. The model liked it. She was a really long, skinny model. This one I sort of got away with me. I don't know. I sort of did. I don't know what happened. I started with the face, but then I don't know, the body, something went wrong. She was a bit too elongated or something. I don't know. All right. Overall, it's fine. But I was like, okay, I'm still doing them quite hard and fast. Here's Samantha Lake from the Angry Toons. I feel like I need to do a better one of her. That one came out okay, but... now this one is a singer called Brody Dale. I hadn't heard of them before, but all right. That one came quite. That one I did go straight in with a dip pen. That was one of the fatter.
There's some Tank Girl influence in that, I see.
Well, there's a lot of Tank Girl in all the ones I do, I think. Oh, here's our good friend Cynthia, friend of the show.
Oh, you did like an ink version of that?
Well,
You did
there
a
were two
painting.
pictures, so this is slightly different from the other one. So yeah, but it's a similar one that I did like on the live show. Yeah, there's a couple from that series. So
I think you should be doing more typography in these because I really like the rock poster vibe that your typography gives a lot of these.
yeah, I'm sort of liking that too. I mean, yeah, the captions, how far they go with captions and cartoon. This one went very wrong. I did this with like I did this with this pen, which is like a super fat thing like this. See that?
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, it's fine. I just had sort of no control, and it didn't. It looked a bit odd. I think I sort of tweaked it a bit when I scanned it and tried to make it look better, but
No, I
as
mean,
usual, it didn't really help.
there's a Ralph Steadman kind of look to it, but I think that's probably good for you once in a while because you draw a lot of punk subjects. You should have a punk line sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I've sort of got away from it a bit in a way. In that Instagirls book, I was sort of being very more like punk liney. Then lately, I've gotten a little more neat again. It's just sort of where I am. I don't know, but okay, the model liked it, so I was like, all right, here's another one. This was the first one on one day. I was like, okay.
Man,
This was sort of the point where nothing was happening at all with the Kickstarter at the beginning. I was feeling a bit, oh my god, what am I doing?
So you tried to drum up people by making bigger lips and bigger ears.
Yeah, I don't know why I was doing that. I was feeling a bit like, what the hell am I doing in here anymore? Here's another one. This was Boost. This was another nice model, Jessica Valen, and she shared it out and really liked it, so that was good.
Cool.
So
you're actually
when the model that got me a boost.
You're in touch with some of these models?
Yeah, some of them, yeah.
Wow.
Some of them, it depends. Like this one. Okay, this is Chloe Luna. I like her, but yes, she didn't respond. I think a lot of them, they don't. Once they get sort of quite big, then they don't want to be tagged or messaged or whatever, so they don't really notice.
Yeah, they just think you're a crazy stalker.
Yeah. There's another one, more an Astrokitty. That was the first one of the day.
The thing I like the most about these are like Rorschach ink blot tests. I learn a lot about your personality when I see
them. What did you learn from this one?
I like the eyes on that one.
I always wonder.
Oh, okay, yes.
Does Tina is Tina afraid that you're gonna shave half her head off while she's asleep?
I'm not going to do anything like that.
She
does what we to grow my hair out. I don't think she likes my mohawk that I'm doing at the moment. She likes it when I get grey hair and a beard. Anything that makes me look older, she likes. Yeah.
Yeah. She's looking at that big insurance payout.
Yeah. Anyway, this was one with a mirror. I realize I quite like doing poses with mirrors. It's kind of interesting.
You have twice as much to draw.
Yeah, but it sort of gives you another figure in the background. That's my best one, I think. Was
you could just draw another figure in the background, right? You don't need to. You would actually probably save you time because you don't have to draw the mirror.
But the mirror thing makes it interesting for some reason.
Okay.
This one I liked a lot. That was a bit more kind of cartoony. Yeah, I quite like that one. This is DJ Foxy, Judge Foxy rather, not DJ. Well, I suppose if we're playing X-Call, he'd be DJ, but he's Judge Foxy from Goodman Games. He works over there, sending me stuff and running games and things. Well, they work over there. Sorry, I'm bad with my pronouns. Well, when they're not Judge Foxy, they're Micah.
Okay, is that an accurate portrait?
Yeah.
Okay.
Somewhat. Much as any of them are. Yeah, they're all. I try to be very accurate. All right, this is a model. This is Emily Riboflavin. I don't know. I've drawn her a few times. I find she's quite hard to draw. It never looks like her when I draw. That one's okay. Quite good. Oh, here we go. This is Rachel Boyce. She's a disability rights activist. I didn't put any words on there. I should have done some words.
Yeah. Oh my God, you had to draw. Oh.
Yeah, suddenly I found myself. This is a wheelchair drawn without any pencils or underdrawing, folks. Just in case.
Dude, at least it wasn't a bicycle.
I don't know which is hard. I think a bicycle is slightly easier than a wheelchair because a wheelchair is more like a bicycle's basically two-dimensional. I mean, the front wheel turns, that makes a bicycle tricky.
Yeah, what the old trick for drawing a wheelchair or a bicycle, right?
No.
You put a bunch of dogs in front of it because dogs are easier to draw.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, I knew that. Bit obvious. This is Loopy Lovely. She liked this one. That was nice.
Okay, yeah, you need more like inset panels and more text. I mean, go full San Francisco rock poster or like old school zine constant flyer.
Right. Here's this is another model I've drawn a few times. Jahiranari Delacroix. This one I quite like. So this one I was doing with this dip pen. So I sort of changed a bit after doing this one because I was like, oh wait, which pen is it? This one. Just this one. It's very simple. I think it actually came in the sort of Speedball cartooning set, but it doesn't have any sort of anything fancy to it. But it gives quite a nice line that's not far off of my Pit Artist pens. But it's a bit blobby. It does tend to drop a blob all the time, so I don't love it. But I don't know. I did a few with that, and I thought I got good results with that one.
What pen did you like the most of this series?
Well, my favorite one to use is sort of my Speedball. There's a couple of them. One I like better, but it doesn't work quite. But basically my my everyday sort of Speedball. But the line quality on that, it's a little fatter than the other one. So I sort of like this one is a little thinner. It sort of depends what the subject.
Okay, that's nice.
That one I did in Sharpie. Again, got a nice light from the model. I don't know. I thought that one looked old. That one looked like one I would have done 30 years ago or something. So it was fine. This is Babe Ross. This was nice. So I went out to Art Battle one night. There was Art Battle. I'm doing Art Battle again. I'm signed up on June 25th, Wednesday, June 25th, later this month. And Babe Ross will be there. So Babe Ross was at the Art Battle. It was her birthday. And I talked to her, I said hi, and I bought her a drink. And I said, oh, I thought about drawing you before because you got a good look. Is it all right if I draw you? She was like, oh, yeah, that's nice. So I drew her. And she liked it. That was good. So, yeah, she's got a lot of different looks. She's a local artist. And she'll also be competing in Art Battle when I'm there.
Okay.
That's funny. She's got sort of different looks. I don't know. She came out, she looks very bold in this one.
Okay, so when are you going to be in Art Battle?
Wednesday, June 25th.
So you're going to be getting the breast implants sometime before then, or are you just going to pad a bra?
Well, I'll tell you what, who else? There was other people at that Art Battle I went to. Also there was Natalie McKean, who does M33 Galaxy of Hybrids comic, which I bought. And I backed her Kickstarter, and she very kindly came on and backed my Kickstarter in return at the beginning. And she happened to be at Art Battle that night, which was nice. So I sort of got to chat with her a bit. She's also an artist, as I mentioned. And she also does aliens. She specializes in aliens and things. And the other person who was there was Turtle Wayne. And he'd done Art Battle previously. He said, because he saw me do Art Battle. So like the same way I saw Greg. And I thought, well, I could do that. I guess he saw me. Thought, hey, I could do that. Turtle Wayne, he's got like 50,000 followers. I mean, people like that Turtle. He's even got his own shirt that says Turtle Wayne, and on the back it's got Turtle Wayne number 4. And I'm like, why do you have number 4? And he said, well, because I could draw my turtle in 4 lines.
Okay.
I'm like, he's doing a different thing there with that turtle. All right, and then Lady Starbeast. I drew Lady Starbeast. They had a show on Wednesday this week, but I wanted to draw Lady Starbeast because, she was really nice and had me come in and paint. She liked this one, so that was good. That was another one. I don't know. I didn't really get a look of her, but that was challenging. I need to do a better one of her, probably. it's harder doing the people that you know because you want to represent them well. This is
no. I've seen your drawings of me. You do not always want to represent them well.
I try to represent you well.
You've never tried to represent me well. Actually, that's quite nice.
Oh, okay. This is Sadie Sanchez from the band LA Witch. Can't remember if I got any love on that one.
There's a little.
That was okay. Do you like that one? I was a bit like, it was a bit
well,
rough.
It reminds me of Undergrounds, and there's some Kirby crackle in that, which I am amused by. But
yeah, I could do more neat Kirby crackle, I suppose. I don't know. It was supposed to be sort of stars behind. I
think you're really your strongest when you're just doing straight black and white.
Well, I sort of learned a few things. It's difficult. Yeah, I get maybe. I feel like a little bit of toning improves it a bit. This one I didn't really love. This was Brigitte Nielsen as Red Sonja. It didn't really look like her at all. I don't know. I think I sort of did the face too late. I sort of, I don't know. The face is like too small, and the head or something.
I saw that
hands
when
in
it
the
came out.
all right.
That was a great movie.
Oh yeah, so that's a lovely one. Here we go. Here's quite a scrappy one, but I don't know. That came out all right. That was a sort of felt tips and Sharpies one. Here's one like that. Now I tried that dip pen again. I was like, oh yeah, I quite like that. It came out. It was quite good to actually draw with that one. That's the thing. It's hard to find like one that's actually nice to draw with when you're we haven't done it. There's one thing about sort of inking a pencil drawing. You're not really drawing. You're inking. Versus how you're actually drawing it.
Dude, what did you do to those hips?
Well, I don't know. I think they were kind of wild. I just went crazy. Susie from Susie and the Banshees. All right, now we get to some bigger ones. Wait. Okay. Oh, I'm missing a couple here. Wait. All right. Okay, this one is probably my best one. And unfortunately, you weren't my first backer for this level, so you don't get first choice. But I'm not sure which one the other person's going to want, but I would pick this one because I think this was the best one. But all right, you said you prefer the black and white one. That's got some shading, so.
Well, that is a nice one. I mean, that's a nice pinup.
Yeah.
And I think it plays to your strengths because it's mostly black and white.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's another mirror one. You'll notice the mirror ones I like. And I thought, well, that was one. I just did that one that day. And I spent I spent about an hour and a half on that one, so it's a little slower. It was a bit, but I guess doing the two figures, I thought, okay, that actually came out.
Yeah, and it almost it looks like somebody stood behind you and hit you on the head with the hammer because you didn't overdo it.
Yeah, that one I think is best. But then there's a couple others I liked a lot, also using that technique. So I like this one, Piss Punks. She's a model I've drawn a few times. That one came out better than some of the ones. It sort of looks quite good. And okay, this is Malice McMahon again, and she's great. She's got a large number of followers. She's always very nice about them, and goes on about how talented I am. So thank you.
That's a great one, but. Man, you got to really start putting in more captions and dialogue and graphic symbols because I think they add to the work.
Yeah, I agree. I got it. Yeah, I'm trying. Eventually, they're going to be all Urfspace cartoons. These are still sort of flying around, and it's like also, I'm not planning these particularly before. I'm sort of picking the model a bit. I'm sort of doing a bit more planning than some, but. Yeah, I was just sort of flying by the seat of my pants, scaring myself by just coming in and drawing live. A couple more. This is like one of the last ones I did. Okay, this one I tried a bit of cross-hatching.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, no, I don't like it. So I was just going to do the cross-hatching. But I don't know. That's the whole thing. You've got to be so sort of painstaking to do it nicely.
Well,
these are not very painstaking drawings. I don't have the time. But I added a little wash and I thought, that saved it. That looks fine. Quite happy with that. And then this was the most ambitious one, which I don't know. This one also, it was too much. It's too much for like a live drawing. Trying to do 3 figures in. I did them a bit far apart. Then I scanned it and sort of closed them up a bit. But All right, Astrokitty, Space Gen, and Henrietta Queen. So those were the live drawings that I did. Some of them I think were worth it. People like them. I got some good feedback. People backed the Kickstarter. They came on. I don't know. It was mostly, I don't know, as usual. It was a sort of mix of people I knew, friends or artists, and random people. I had some good people come on because people recommended me. That was what I learned. Is like my friend Matthew, he recommended me at the end, and that brought me on quite a few good backers at the end.
So
And
the usual group of ne'er-do-wells and a few new ones.
yeah, I don't know. It's not always the same group of ne'er-do-wells. I don't know. And the people that come on early, I really appreciate the people that came on early. There's some good people there that I've known for a while. Some of them I haven't seen or been in touch with for a while, and they're really nice and jump on board. So I appreciate that.
I always like waiting to the end because I like watching you sweat.
Yeah, I was like, okay, Dale. We talked about this in that. Okay. I came on and said, I think I'm going to do it for 2,500, but you persuaded me to do it up to 3,500.
And what happened?
Well, I made it, but
Yeah.
I was only on about 2,500 at the beginning of the last day. But I was sort of quite glad that I'd got over that. I was like, I was not even, maybe we're not even at 2,500, but I was like, if I could get over 2,500, then I'll be able to badger Dale to come back with me at the last minute.
What does that teach you about listening to my advice?
I know. I have to listen to Dale, and I have to trust you.
Yeah,
and I have to not get angry when I call you up at the last minute and you say, "What Kickstarter? I didn't know you were doing a Kickstarter."
Dude, I was in LA.
No, I know. That's fine. I don't mind you. I don't mind you toying with me.
Dude, I was in LA. You gotta give me a break.
No, I thought it's very nice to know that there's some chance that Dale's going to come. But you know what? You didn't need to, did you? We got there. I got there all on my own, and I felt very proud of myself.
You should have.
I was like, "Fuck you, Dale." No, I was. It was nice to believe in my head that you had my back.
I got up to be on this show this morning. Every time I'm on this show, it's like one long line of abuse. Not just
all right, I'm going to give you control of the airways now because I'm going to start drawing. I've got a piece for Goodman Games. I'm going to charging buskers. So let's see. I said, what's a good layout like this? How about this? There we go.
Oh, do you have an underdrawing there?
Now I've got a more HD camera that I'm using for the art here. Make sure I'm on the HD.
You bought a new camera?
Not exactly. I had this one. This was the one I was using to focus on my easel.
Oh.
But it's the sort of more higher quality, high definition one.
Cool.
But the other one went on the fritz. I've got to say that the Razer Keo cameras, no, I've had two of them just sort of, they start going bzz, 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 and flickering and then they start working. And I'm like, that's two of them now.
Razer, the game accessories manufacturer?
Yes.
Oh.
So, I'm not recommending the Razer Keo.
The only stuff I've ever bought from Razer was their Nostromo gamepad, which was badass. I loved it.
I have their mouse and keyboard.
What do you think?
They've served me well for actually I had to replace the mouse once, but I've had a Razer mouse for it worked for 7 years or something, so could be better, could be worse. It wasn't too expensive.
I'm surprised Razer actually has a retail presence in the Valley Fair Mall in San Jose. I wouldn't think that an accessory maker would have a boutique store. I
Yeah,
think.
I don't know. Yes, they're definitely big on their branding and all that. Yeah.
Well,
This other one I've got, the one I'm using is also a Razer, but it's not the Keo. It's the more, or it's the more pro one. I think it's more expensive, but it seems to be. But it's a bit annoying because it doesn't have the light on it, and the other one has the light on it. So why do you have the better camera? It doesn't have the light. It's really annoying.
just it just probably depends on when the thing was released. I mean,
No, I don't know. No, I don't know. I think they do it sort of deliberately to annoy you.
yes, I'm sure there was a product meeting where where they were deciding what's the most annoying thing we can do to the product. Uh,
Well, actually, well, I'm not gonna have this so taped down because I am gonna try to ink this a bit more properly because it is a proper one.
you're
So
gonna
it does.
spin it. You're
It's
gonna
going to involve
spin
me
your work.
rotating this around a bit.
Yeah,
So
rotate it. Yeah, ink it like a man.
for these. All right, so tell us all about Monsterpalooza. What is Monsterpalooza?
Okay. This is actually a little sad. Monsterpalooza is it's a horror convention, which is like a comic book convention, but the subject is horror movies and horror TV. And rather than having comic book artists there are people who are workers in the entertainment industry, makeup artists, and concept artists and sculptors. And I was told it was started by makeup artists. I don't know the full history of it, but our late buddy Tony Villador, um,
Yes.
he told me that I needed to go to this. He saw that I was down, and he said that I need to start going to things in LA like Monsterpalooza and the CTN Expo and Designer Con to just see other artists' work and get inspired by it. And he was right because Tony normally was right about everything. So I started driving down to
So
Monster.
the man who's right about everything found somebody who's even more right about everything.
Yeah, um, Tony Villador was a great guy, and
Yeah.
he was pretty wise. So I would go down there to Monsterpalooza and the CTN Expo and Designer Con, and Tony would give me a shopping list. So it didn't take me long to realize that Tony was actually sending me down as his servant to like pick up books and artwork for him, which I would.
Yeah.
I would be walking through these cons with enormous piles of heavy ass books because of Tony.
Yeah.
But the first time I went to Monsterpalooza, I was blown away because the cosplay was on a very high level. There were guys there and gals. As soon as I walked in the door of the
Wait, you
Pasadena,
were looking at the guys?
there were guys and gals there. As soon as I walked in the door of the Pasadena Convention Center, who were in classic Planet of the Apes makeup with the facial appliances and the costumes and the props. And I had never seen anything on that level before, even at cons like WonderCon.
Yeah.
And as an old Planet of the Apes fan, I was just blown away. And I went up to a gorilla soldier and I was asking, how did you do the makeup? How did you do the costume? And they stayed in character and they told me that I was a dirty human and to get the hell away from them.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with Monsterpalooza. A lot of the people there in their part time would sculpt things that they thought they could sell as artwork. And in those
Yeah.
days, and this is about 7, maybe 8 years ago, people were still working in Sculpey. They were working in wax. They were working in clay. They were learning and using ZBrush, but this was just at the beginning of when 3D resin printers were coming out. So everyone who could afford it was buying the 3D resin printer by Formlabs. And there were schools for special effects represented there. There were makeup artists there who were spending the whole day making up a model into some sort of monster. There were monster masks. There were books on monster movies, models, DVDs of old movies, all kinds of sculpture. And very expensive cast and bronze sculpture to stuff that was sculpted in wax. They made a silicon mold, and they were selling unpainted resin sculptures, resin castings, like garage kits.
Mm.
And there was all sorts of Godzilla toy dealers with really expensive imported Godzilla toys from Japan. There were a few jewelers, and there were people experimenting with, what could I sell at this convention? I'm a sculptor. I can sculpt something. I can cast it. I can get it cast in metal. There was a guy there selling chocolate figures. He had sculpted a cartoon character and was selling castings of it in chocolate. There was a guy selling amazing dragon brass door knockers. There's little sculptures of cryptids from Fortean stories like Nessie and Bigfoot and various UFO sightings. There were people selling sculpture tools. This is the first time I saw anyone use or talk about a material called monster clay, which a lot of sculptors use.
Okay.
And so this was, I don't know, 7 years ago, maybe 8. And I started going to Monsterpalooza every year. I stopped for the pandemic, which was foolish of me. I should have just masked it down there. But this is the first time I've been.
I really want to introduce present day Dale to peak pandemic Dale. Because peak pandemic Dale would not have tolerated talk like that.
Peak pandemic Dale had yet to get into a few fights with some people recently. But I went down. It's the first time in 5 years. So there were serious changes. It was not the same show. And some artists who I had seen regularly show up were not there. Some dealers of things, which I would normally see, were not there. So I was going after a 5-year gap, and I noticed the difference. Still had a great time. Still saw a lot of amazing art, lots of sculpture. And I saw a lot of ways people are trying to merchandise their own intellectual property. And I saw how people are trying to make a buck stealing other people's intellectual property. But,
well, those are your two basic options.
Yeah. And so there are other conventions. Like you go to a comic book convention and you see a lot of comic books. You see a lot of comic artists. You see a lot of printed material. Not so many people are selling 3D figures. You'll see some stuffed animals that people will get made in Japan. You see a lot of enamel pins now. You go to something like Designer Con, There's a lot more sculpture because it's supposedly a toy designer con. But they're not really toys. They're sculptures that you put on a shelf. So Monsterpalooza, not so many comic books, but it's a cross between Designer Con and the comic book convention. But what I saw at the most recent trip to Monsterpalooza is it's becoming more like Designer Con. Less makeup, less sculpture tools. I didn't see anyone selling monster clay. Less garage kit resin casting. So I noticed that technology had changed it. I was going when the Formlabs printers were becoming mainstream. In 5 years, resin 3D printers and FDM filament 3D printers have gotten better and much cheaper. So where I would see someone in the past sculpt something and then print it out and then make a silicon box mold and then pour some urethane to make a bunch of castings to sell, they'll just do 3D prints. They'll have a printer farm in their basement where they'll have multiple resin printers or FDM printers. And that's resulted in much more professional looking work. So, and I also think it means...
Right, but I'm concerned about the longevity of some of those things. Are they archival? Is 3D printing archival, or is it going to sort of crumble into powder in a few years?
I don't know. But, you know, as a dealer, it doesn't matter. It only has to last long enough to get the money and for the convention to end and you to get home.
Yeah, all right.
So
I don't know. Yeah, okay, that's fine if you're a scammer, but if it's, I don't see it as a long-term survival strategy.
all this stuff is disposable.
Well, I don't know. I think people need to be more respectful of plastic. As I pointed out, well, we may have found life on another planet, but until we for certain find a prehistoric forest that's been buried for a few billion years, you know, we're not going to find any more oil.
Oh, we'll find plenty of oil. You know,
Sure about that.
I'm 100% sure about that, because what they'll do is, if the demand is great enough, it'll be like Soylent Green. They'll figure out how to make oil out of people.
Yeah, all right. I guess we've got whale oil.
So I went to Monsterpalooza. I didn't see as much cosplay. I didn't see some higher end artists that I had seen in the past. It wasn't as much makeup heavy. It was more products to buy. It was less of a maker experience. But I bought stuff, you know. I hadn't been to LA in 5 years. I had already spent a bunch of money on the hotel room. Before I went on the trip, I got my car serviced, and they were kind enough to tell me that I had an enormous repair that I needed to do. So I was committed. So
yeah, you had a friend who was running a Kickstarter that you might have to run in and bail out. So you should be very happy that I managed to fund it without you.
Oh, I was ecstatic.
I was like, I knew you were going to be busy at Monsterpalooza and spending all your money. I was like, oh, I really...
Dude, I spent all my money even before we started driving down there. And, you know, it's LA. When you go to something, when you go to a con, the best thing to do is try to tack on a few more days so that you can, the con is your target, but you get to explore the city. And it's LA. I mean, they have the Getty, the Norton Simon Museum, the Huntington Library, not to mention tourist traps like the Hollywood Museum. You know, just going to Burbank there's all these cool stores,
Bro.
like the used toy store Blast from the Past and the Mystic Museum. And there's a cool, there's cool shops on Hollywood Boulevard, like Hollywood Toy and Costume and Larry Edmonds Bookshop. So we drove around a lot. In fact, we were probably driving more than we were at Monsterpalooza and shopping, because everything sadly is just spread out everywhere. But we had a good time. And the other thing about Monsterpalooza is I learned, because people were switching from clay and wax to ZBrush, that it was kind of a ZBrush trade show. You go there and you look at somebody's sculptures and you go, hey, how did you do this? And oh, I did it in ZBrush. And then most people want to share. So you pick up a lot of tips and tricks. I talked to a jeweler there who spent some time telling me if I wanted to do some jewelry design in ZBrush, this is who he uses to get his work cast. I would talk to this guy who did these amazing Godzilla sculpts, and he shared, oh, I did it on an Elgu Jupiter resin printer, and then he told me, he had to put the supports in by hand. So, it's arguable, would I learn the same thing by being on forums, or do I learn this information by going to Monsterpalooza and asking? And
I wish I could be one of those artists that was happy doing other people's characters. That's the way to be more successful. Just make Godzillas and things that somebody else already did.
well, that's
I can't be happy like that. I'm like,
well, that's something you see when you go to these conventions. I mean, you and I have been to like the East Bay Comic Con in Concord, which is a nice little con. We've been to the Fan Expo. You see where people have their own intellectual property, or they're copying someone else's, or they're influenced by someone else's, and you see where they're making the money. Like when we were at the Fan Expo up in San Francisco, the guy I saw making a boatload of money was the guy who was selling 3D printed Pokemon skulls. It was a brilliant idea.
and the guy selling hot dogs, he was making a lot of money too.
Yeah. Sabrina told me the concessions at Monsterpalooza were not inexpensive. I remember when I went there the first time 7 or 8 years ago, and I got a beer. It was like almost $15.
Yeah.
Tip from Uncle Dale to the kids out there watching: do not drink at a convention, because it just causes you to spend more money.
Yeah, you'd think they'd give away sort of free alcohol, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it should be like a casino. But what the hell? It was fun. Maxon, which now owns ZBrush, they were there. Paul Gabbery.
Maxon Crumb, Robert Crumb's brother.
No.
Who eats a piece of string.
No, Maxon, the company that
Okay.
its big name software is Cinema 4D.
Right. When was this company founded?
What?
When was this company founded?
Maxon?
Yeah.
Maxon, I think, got bought by a larger German company that does drafting software.
That's not what I asked. When were they founded?
I don't know, but I know Cinema.
Was it before or after the documentary about Robert Crumb came out?
Maxon Cinema 4D existed at least in the 90s, early 90s.
Okay, so so they were around in the early 90s, so before
They
the
were
Crummy.
around at the same. They were around at the same time as Strata Studio Pro, because I knew people running Strata Studio who were using Strata Studio Pro were trying to convince me to jump ship and buy Cinema 4D, which was not cheap. So I didn't jump ship, but it was more successful in Europe for TV motion graphics, while over here in the US, people were buying and learning 3D Studio Max and Lightwave. So it was a competitor to that software. Maya took off and left Lightwave and Studio 3D Max in the dust. Strata, I think Strata still exists, but I don't know who uses it. And then Pixelogic was on its own trajectory because it's such a one-trick pony. But it was nice that Maxon was there. And I got to talk to one of the developers, and hopefully they'll take my suggestions about improving the graphic user interface, which for the iPad. I talked to ZBrush users at Monsterpalooza. They're not happy with ZBrush for iPad. A lot of them are sticking with the desktop version, but I like it. It's fun to play with.
I don't know how anyone can. I've got like iPad arm and shoulder from like all the iPadding I was doing while my Kickstarter was going on. I don't know how anyone can really do any work on that thing, but all right. I guess they are.
Well, the app Clip Studio Paint has a customizable interface, and most of the other apps for the iPad have, in my opinion, terrible graphic user interfaces, and most of them are not customizable. ZBrush for iPad has a customizable user interface up to a point. It has some limited customizability, but it's nothing like the desktop version, which is very customizable. So I was showing them the difference between the customizability of their software, ZBrush, and the customizability of Clip Studio Paint for iPad. I think that sometimes developers, they're not as deep into ergonomics as they should be. Now, do you want to see some crap that I bought while I was down there?
Sure.
All right. Are we gonna like show the title?
Oh yeah. All right. Here we go. All right. We're doing this. All right. All right. Are you on that, Sam?
Which title?
I'll do it. All right.
Okay.
Dale's Retail Roundup.
I wish I could have bought that time machine. I love that damn thing. That was a time machine replica that shows up at various events. That was at the San Francisco Dickens Fair.
Okay, yes.
And it was worth every penny.
Yeah, that's the one from the George Powell
movie,
machine, which is the best one. Though the remake was terrible. I was a bit disappointed in that. I mean, there you go. That was horrible CGI versus the beautiful, like, non-CGI. I'm sorry, the non-CGI totally wins hand down in that case.
Well, I liked the model. What makes the movie The Time Machine is the prop, and they tried in the remake to make a nice time machine, but I think they did. The movie failed.
Yeah, they did it all with computer tools. It just doesn't look as good. This is the problem with all the ZBrush. Yeah, it makes your life easier, but it makes your work less interesting.
Yeah, we'll have a talk about that. Okay, so various things I got at Monsterpalooza. I got suckered.
Yes.
I know you and Charles paint miniatures.
I don't pay miniatures.
Okay, Charles, when I say something, just go along with it to maintain the flow.
Yeah, it's entertainment. Yes, and I don't do that.
It's the worst show ever. There weren't as many airbrush dealers at
Air
Monsterpalooza.
duct dealers.
There was
You'd be happy at an air duct convention, wouldn't you, Dale?
there was
There'd be just a lot of people there selling air duct. You'd be going along asking them questions about how much tape they use.
yeah. I love trade shows because you learn stupid things at trade shows. You know, you go and 99% of it is a waste of time, and then you learn that one little thing that like saves you money or entertains you.
Yeah, all right. Yes, you're right. Yes, there's the one. There's the little. There's you don't know what the little thing that you might get out of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Grex was there, and Grex makes very nice airbrushes. In fact, many of them are quite ergonomic. I recommend people look at Grex airbrushes. But I was at the spraygunner.com booth, and they were selling those airbrush, the little mini compressors that attach directly to the airbrush, so you don't need a separate compressor and a hose. And they had some on demo, and they said that they get up to 30 psi. I've had people say, you know, these things are worthless, and I've had people say, oh, you know, you can use them for painting minis. So I decided to try one, and I haven't hooked it up yet. I don't have anything to paint at the moment, but I thought it would be useful for the gorilla suit. And so they sold a little kit that comes either with a double action, a Wada HPC knockoff, or a little trigger spray gun. And I thought for doing primer on little 3D prints, I would get one with a spray gun. And it comes with a couple batteries, and I'm looking forward to trying it out. Now, supposedly the fitting is the fitting you need for an Iwata, which I have a couple of old Iwata brushes from college.
Oh, okay. It's not okay. I always call it Iwata, but you're
and they supposedly are sending me a fitting so I can attach my old Pache VL. No, I don't think I'm going to be able to spray anything thicker than light cream consistency paint through it, but I'd like to try it out. And it was under $100, so I think if it turns out it doesn't work for my needs, I'm sure I can find some kid who's painting minis, not Charles, obviously, that I can give them the brush.
It's not really a hobby I particularly encourage, painting miniatures.
Well,
I mean, it's a bit of a it's a lot of
I'm already into Magic the Gathering. I don't need another thing to spend money on.
Yeah.
No,
nobody appreciates it. I painted lots of figures. The only people that appreciate, not even my D&D group, appreciate how nicely I painted all my figures. And all right, well, I mean, you can spend so much time like doing this perfect little figure. I don't know. Yeah, and then I guess you can go into competitions. I don't know.
Well, when I was at Monsterpalooza, there was a guy there selling incredibly well done kaiju models, Godzilla and other. I think he had a Ghidra. Just these amazing models, and turns out they were 3D prints off an Elgu Jupiter. I kept hearing Elgu over and over again as the resin printer looked at. and they were incredibly well painted. So I got the brush more or less to just fiddle around with painting 3D minis. But the level of paint on some of the stuff, these sculptures that were being sold, it's much higher quality than I saw in the past. Kids understand paint, and they're getting better as painters. Now, they had one big dealer selling sculpture supplies. There was another guy selling. So, you go to these things and you just, you pick up a bag of sculpture supplies. I'm sure these are just metal dental tools that this guy got at a flea market, and he's repackaging. But, you just pick this stuff up when you go to a show like that. Oh, you can never have too many sculpting tools.
I don't know. I've got too many sculpting tools because I don't use them.
Well, give them.
All right.
Now, I didn't really. Oh, there it is. I got to get out camera to get it. Now, the thing that surprised me was there were a lot of people selling old books there at Monsterpalooza, which meant that they knew that their crowd was a bunch of old Gen X and Boomers sci-fi fans. And so I picked up a bunch of paperbacks, like the sequel to Logan's Run, and an old book I had on the War of the Worlds broadcast, and a novel tie-in to the Quester tapes. One of Joe Haldeman's, the guy who wrote The Forever War, one of his Star Trek books. Sometimes these conventions, they'll know that there's going to be old nerds there. And so there were books, there were T-shirts, there were model kits. The books, I'm a sucker for. And one interesting thing, there were one or two comic book artists. And so I picked up a graphic novel, and it's in 3D, and it includes the glasses. It's a collection of work by different artists, and it was just nice to see some 3D, because when I went to Monsterpalooza years ago, there's an organization in LA that promotes and preserves 3D TV and movies, and tries to turn people on to 3D.
Yeah, I love 3D.
And
I'm a fan of 3D.
unfortunately, that disappeared. So I saw this at the show, and I thought, it's 3D, it's adult. So those are the two things I like.
It's adult 3D.
Yes. Now,
like when they used to do porn mags in 3D in the 1980s.
Now, there were a lot of nice sculptures there. A lot of really nice, expensive sculptures there. One of them was a flayed gorilla. This booth had a number of flayed human beings, flayed animals, and they were all at wonderful anatomical studies. And I would have bought the gorilla for my gorilla suit project, but it just wasn't available. They were showing a prototype, and they were obviously sculpted in ZBrush. But the interesting thing is they weren't casts. They were resin prints. So they're resin printing these on demand and then just primering them.
Oh, yeah.
So there was a lot of resin. There was a lot of 3D prints there. There's a lot of really nice, expensive stuff. But I also saw a lot of stuff that was inexpensive to buy. And one of them was a table full of intellectual property borrowings where these were all prints done in FDM, not resin. And they were in different sizes. So some of them were inexpensive. And I can't remember how much this cost. I think it was like $10. But I got this little Baphomet, which is an FDM print. And they had larger ones. Now, Monsterpalooza is full of zombies and vampires and Frankenstein and cryptids and movie monsters, TV monsters. But if you look closely enough, you'll also find little examples of Satanism. I saw a nice satanic.
Yeah, I mean, isn't the whole thing a celebration of the devil?
Well, you could argue that
I mean,
Monsterpalooza is an enormous memento mori. You know,
yeah, you're making effigies. They're all basically effigies of the devil. That's all that's on sale.
well, I wouldn't go
It's like one
that
of the
far.
most satanic places on
Now,
earth.
the interesting thing is,
I mean, it's literally named after monsters.
I've been to WonderCon and other comic book conventions where evangelists, Christian evangelists, will protest the event, but I didn't see them at Monsterpalooza. I suspect they're afraid they're going to get eaten. But you know, it's someone thought this would sell, and they have a print farm in their basement cranking them out. I talked to the person running the booth. The husband sculpts the stuff in ZBrush, and they have a printer farm of various types of FDM printers, like the bamboo line. I think you also mentioned the Ender. And
are they getting outdoors enough and getting enough fresh air with all these printers in their basements? It sounds very unhealthy.
oh yeah, 3D printing is unhealthy. There's articles about it that you can research yourself. Now, there were toy dealers, and some of them had extremely expensive imported toys from Japan. Our friend Sharon and Joe from Time Tunnel Toys in San Jose used to have a booth at Monsterpalooza, and I would run into them there. They're no longer attending Monsterpalooza. They have the San Jose Super Toy Show in San Jose, which is this weekend at the Santa Clara County Fairground. After our show today, I'm going to the toy show.
That comes around often.
3 times a year. Three or four. It might be 4 now. But there were other.
Yeah, you told me to message them about like doing it. Nobody ever got back to me. I guess they.
I'll rattle Sharon's cage today. There were more used toy dealers and collector toy dealers at Monsterpalooza years ago. They're still there, but not as many. One of them had incredibly expensive Godzilla stuff. Godzilla is a big thing at Monsterpalooza, but there was also a small dealer, and I was able to pick up.
He's the big. Well, isn't he the biggest monster?
I
mean, are there bigger monsters than Godzilla? I mean, King Kong versus Godzilla, but I think Godzilla's bigger.
I'm sorry, Godzilla is king of the monsters. Unless you're super old school, then it's King Kong. But what I got was this cool little Goldar figure in San Francisco. No, I'm sorry, Oakland. The Bay Area in the 70s, Bob Wilkins who was the alter ego of Captain Cosmic. Captain Cosmic in the afternoon would show these Japanese sci-fi serials from the 60s and 70s. One of them was about these robots that could turn into rocket ships. And I've never seen this character as any sort of figure or toy. And when I saw it, I had no choice but to buy it. And I paid through the freaking nose. This tiny little piece of plastic. And it's cool, you know. It'll go on my cabinet of curiosities right next to Satan. Sorry, Baphomet. But I would have walked away with that gorilla sculpture, but they didn't have it. So I did spend money at Monsterpalooza, but I didn't spend as much as I could have because some of those sculptures were in the hundreds and thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Now,
well, I guess you only need to sell one of those, and you can do nothing all year.
No. I suspect the table fees there are not inexpensive. But
$100,000.
when
they're not 100. Tables can't be $100,000.
I don't know what a table there is. But the thing is, I also got to drive around Los Angeles and go to various cool places. And because I hadn't been there for a while, I picked up some other things. Hang on a second.
Okay.
Now, whenever you're in Los Angeles, there is one restaurant you have to go to. Well, there's one of the restaurants you have to go to in Los Angeles is Bob's Big Boy. Because they have this awesome hot fudge cake. And I begged Sabrina to go twice. We went once for dinner, and then we had a terrible dinner in downtown LA. So we drove to Burbank, and I got another hot fudge cake. But the cool thing about Bob's Big Boy at Burbank is if you go on the right night, it's the classic car people show up. And there's all these great old cars in the parking lot you can check out. And the food is, you know, it's mediocre Bob's, but you can't get that anymore. And at the register, they have all this Bob memorabilia. And you have to get yourself a plastic Bob so you can worship the Bob at home. So,
yeah, why would I want to do that? I mean, I find those things rather ugly.
Dude, I've seen.
I have no nostalgia effect on me.
I've seen the crap that's in your studio.
What?
Dude, this is kitsch. This is stylish. This is Americana. You wouldn't know Americana because you're like a freaking limey.
No. He wants to celebrate America.
You understand why this is important.
It's apparently the worst country in the world. Everybody agrees.
You agree this is a good purchase, right? No, Charles. Sorry.
That is a good purchase. I mean,
you understand that this is.
It would look really good if you had like a 50s themed kitchen. Don't really see why else you would buy it.
Well, I also buy it. Actually, it looks a little like you.
Oh, well, that's just mean.
Dale just buys things to put them in his vault. He's got a big underground bunker that's like chock full.
Well, it does look very like Fallout core.
Americana, we'll call it. Because like Americana is just a polite way of saying shit.
Now, if you're going to Monsterpalooza to learn about mask making, to learn about sculpting, and it's, you know, you can do that. I mean, one of the schools that is still there. In fact, it was the only school that I saw there. Previously, there were a number of makeup special effects schools and computer graphics and special effects schools, concept artist schools like Nomon. In fact, I don't even know if Nomon even exists anymore. But Stan Winston was there, and you can sign up.
Is that like Umon, where they help the backwards people?
No, Nomon was a school that would teach you how to paint and draw, usually digital painting. And you would buy their DVDs, and then eventually they went subscription. You pay a yearly subscription, and you can watch all these videos online. Stan Winston is like that. In fact, they were still selling DVDs at the show. I asked if I had a membership, do I need to buy any of the DVDs? And they said no. So,
ooh, I learned an interesting fact this week. Pop quiz? What was the last movie to be released on VHS?
the last one.
Rambo.
Later than that. Well, I don't know which Rambo you're talking about.
I know, that's why it was a good guess.
Jurassic Park.
No, but that's closer than Rambo slightly. The answer is, and you wouldn't get it, Aragon.
Oh,
The story about
the dragon. Yeah.
dragon. Based. I was watching a series of videos called "Why It Failed."
Okay.
Talking about movies they're all movies that I wanted to see, but I didn't see them because everyone said they were crap. And
Okay, so if you go,
apparently it was the last one released on VHS. So
if you go to Monsterpalooza, there's a good chance there's Stan Winston. There's some people selling sculpture tools, but there's also people like Reynolds Advanced Material that are showing you the silicones and polyurethane resins that you can buy to make sculptures. So, you can sculpt something in clay, make a mold of it, and then cast it in rubber or resin impregnated with ground up marble dust or metal or wood. And so
Now- okay.
if you're going to Monsterpalooza for that, odds are afterwards you're going to be driving to one of these shops that sell these materials to pick some of them up. One of the
I thought you said you were going to be driving to the poison control center because of all the noxious fumes that you've inhaled. I mean, don't the people that make these things have very few brain cells left?
I don't think so, because no, I think they have brain cells left because the people selling this stuff and demoing this stuff, they're very knowledgeable about it. And you up in here in the Bay Area, there's only one place I know that sells this stuff seriously, and that's Douglas and Sturgis. And they used to have a shop in San Francisco, which I heard is being closed temporarily. So I think you'd have to Google where the other shop is, but it's above Berkeley. And it's a big warehouse of sculpture supplies. So they have sculpting tools, all sorts of smooth-on silicones, resins, various types of clay for sculpting. And the problem with Douglas and Sturgis is they don't stock monster clay, which is a very popular clay. And I don't think they stock all the smooth online. So I discovered years ago going to Monsterpalooza, there are these supply places that are in industrial parks that cater to special effects artists and makeup artists. That
aka glue
Yeah,
sniffers.
okay, glue sniffers that are just not.
I met some of
You
these
don't know of these places because they're not really retail stores. They'll have like a little like display room that will show you their products and what you can do with them. But then the stuff's all in a warehouse. So I went to Reynolds Advanced Materials after Monsterpalooza because I wanted to pick up some supplies. I've been learning to sculpt in monster clay, and monster clay comes in various hardnesses. Dick Blick in Berkeley will sometimes sell monster clay, but not in all the colors and not in all the hardnesses. And they don't have a huge selection of sculpting tools. So I went to Reynolds Advanced Materials and I got myself some tubs of monster clay. And
Now, was Dick Blick his porn name? Is that why he called it that?
I don't know if that's his porn name.
Dick Blick, he sounds like a South African porn star.
Dick Blick is a nice big art supply chain. I recommend them. It was not my favorite back in the day because sometimes the people there were rude. But hopefully those people are now fired. But I was able to get monster clay. I've been told that there is a shortage of monster clay. There's various rumors about that shortage. One rumor is that there must be a major project going on where in Hollywood where everyone's buying it. And another rumor is that it might be being all bought up by Michaels because Michaels might be starting to sell monster clay for kids interested in cosplay. So you might see sculpture supplies showing up in Michaels. But picked up some tubs, expensive tubs of monster clay soft. And one of the cool things about Reynolds Advanced Material in Burbank is they now have a much larger showroom, which is filled with monster masks and props. And you get to see what people can do with these materials that they sell if you're an artist. I like to pick up these little pucks. They have all these pucks that they give away of the smooth on materials. So you have a sample of what these silicones and resins are like after they've been cast and cured. They have a library of these. I picked up a small sample pack. It's a two-part silicone that they make, which is used in the special effects industry, called dragon skin, and it's
What, dragon's tits?
dragon skin, and it's useful for making masks and makeup appliances because there's talk about, and people have been doing this for a few years now. You sculpt something in ZBrush and then print it out on a PLA FDM printer. You print out the mold and then you cast in silicone.
Now, wait, question. Now, is ZBrush, is that a French company?
One of the developers was French.
Okay, so that's why he's saying, here's ZBrush.
Yes, here's ZBrush.
Okay.
I forget the name.
Sure.
I forget the names of the developers. It's been over 20 years.
Jean-Francois.
And also they sold out, so they're not involved anymore. So picked up those supplies, and I also had to get some latex for the project I was working on, so I went to Berman Foam.
Ooh.
Berman Foam, it's kind of a hole in the wall. You have to know where it is. I'd never heard of it. but they sell materials the same way Reynolds Advanced Materials does, but they're, as far as I know, they're more into latex. But while I was there,
Isn't everybody?
while I was there, I did splurge and pick up a buttload of sculpting tools. And I'm a sucker for art supplies.
Yeah, you could have fooled me.
Now, other places I recommend while being in LA. I went to Larry Edmunds bookstore on Hollywood Boulevard. And this is a place known where you can buy old movie scripts, old posters, old books that are on movies or about movie stars. They also have a library of still photos from movies. These are pictures that were sent out as promotions to newspapers and movie reviewers. And so I was able to, I told them, you know, I'm interested in gorilla suits and gorilla suit makers. And it turns out I wasn't the only one. They were sold out of photos of actors in gorilla suits. But they were really.
Well, they're the original furries, aren't they? And furries are very popular now. Like now the kids, now that the kids have got literature trays in the schools.
No, furries are something different. But the kids who know how to make fursuits are using old special effects tools. So kids who are furries and making fursuits, they deserve respect as craftsmen. And I don't like joking about furries because I've got pals who have become fursuit builders, and while there are some people in that culture who use it for sexual purposes, a lot of them don't. It's I don't want to give those people help. But when I was at Larry Edmunds, from their stacks, they had a couple old Cinefex magazines that are that have articles on gorilla suit building. They also found this, a very old book. Let me get the date on it. This is from 1974. It's a book on apes in cinema. They were nice enough to dig this out of the stack for me. And they also had in their files promotional photos from Zardoz.
Well, they had some of those left. That's incredible.
Yeah, it turns out that not a lot of people buy promotional photos from Zardoz.
What? Really?
Yeah. And I was able to get some promotional photos, not great ones, but from Circle of Iron. Totally forgot to ask about Dragnet. It was a total fool. And
well, and they wouldn't have had any of Charlie Muffin because I don't think anybody.
I asked.
Did that.
They did have pictures of David Hemmings, but none of them from Charlie Muffin. Now, while the wonderful people at Larry Edmunds Bookshop on Hollywood Boulevard, not far from the star of Roddy McDowell.
Roddy Piper?
Roddy McDowell.
Yeah, not Roddy Piper. No,
They.
Although I do recommend Hell Comes to Frogtown if you're a Roddy Piper fan.
There's a costume store. It's Hollywood Toys and Costume. It's down the street from Larry Edmonds' bookshop. And well, the staff at Larry Edmonds were looking for gorilla suit related stuff for me. I went down and I checked out their masks. They had a cheapo gorilla suit, which I didn't need any parts from. But I was lucky enough to run into a kid who worked there part-time named Ivan. And Ivan showed me their gorilla masks. And it turns out he's a gorilla suiter. He got out his phone and he showed me his cowboy gorilla suit. And I got out my phone and I showed him my gorilla suit with the bathrobe and the fez. And we talked gorilla suiting. And he...
Yeah, your gorilla suit is. I like yours. It's more like one of the sort of someone that didn't quite, got cut from the banana splits or whatever.
Yeah, it's like
we're in that zone.
But he they had a number of gorilla masks at Hollywood Toy and Costume, and one of them is by Zagone Studio, which has recently gone out of business. So gorilla masks might be a little difficult. Good gorilla masks might be difficult to get in the future. And when I say good, I mean consumer level. We're not talking about makeup special effects. So Ivan convinced me to get this. So I now have a new backup gorilla suit mask. It's more comfortable to wear than the one I have. And this one, has a nice mouth to it. It's a nice mask. And while I was chatting with Ivan, the Hollywood Toy and Costume has a magic section. Not a great one, but, up here in the Bay Area, except for San Francisco, there are no magic stores anymore. Well, I think there's one in Santa Cruz on the boardwalk, but I haven't been there. But while I was in the magic section, oops, sorry, move the camera.
Did you get one of those disappearing cup and ball tricks?
You want to cut my what?
I'm going to cut your ball and then restore
it's kind of a tradition when you're at a magic store. When you're at a magic store and you don't know what to buy, one of the things you can always buy that you can never have enough of is a fake thumb. Because a fake thumb is used in lots of tricks. So I bought a fake thumb, and I had to explain to Ivan why you would want a fake thumb. And they also had a box of these.
What are those? Little poison darts you can throw at people?
Back in the days before they were worried about kids losing their eyes, they used to have cap bombs. You put a paper cap in the tip, and you would throw this against something.
Oh, yeah, okay, cap bombs. Yes, I remember, yes.
This is old stock. They had a box of these, and these are from the early 60s. And they were all dusty. They were they found them somewhere in their warehouse, and they just put them in the magic section. And they didn't know what to sell them for. So I bought 3 of them because they're totally...
But don't you need a roll of caps to go?
No, I'm never going to use them. These are like total retro 60s sci-fi toy. That's one of the cool things.
Right, but they're useful for that, the cap.
That's one of the cool things about old shops in LA is you might find old stock, old books, old tools.
Just like all sorts of things that nobody else wants.
Yes, I am a collector of everything, everything that nobody else wants, and a lot of my cats are thankful for that. Now, trying to reach the other stuff. Oh, I was in Burbank, and I recommend if you're in Burbank, the Bay Area has some really cool used toy stores. Time Tunnel Toys in San Jose, the Bat Cave in Santa Rosa. Always go to the Bat Cave if you go to the Shoals Museum. Action Figure Addict in Union City. Hadbro Toys over in Capitola. But Burbank has a store that it's really good, and it's called Blast from the Past. They have comics, old magazines, and toys. And I was able to find a phaser. Not just a phaser, but a phaser with a removable phaser type 1. And I think this was a Diamond Select phaser. I paid through the nose for it, but something I was looking for. So I may have saved money by not buying a lot at Monsterpalooza. Yeah, the money eventually got spent. And the other thing that you'll see in a lot of these shops now, Blast from the Past, dealers at Monsterpalooza, comic book stores, bookstores, even bookstores have them. Used record stores are enamel pins. So we've talked about this. There's enough of a demand now that people buy enamel pins. And I have to start wondering, are they replacing T-shirts and mugs as an impulse buy? And I see adults wearing them more. So one super cool one that I got at Blast from the Past for all you Planet of the Apes fans is a Caesar for President pin.
Oh, that's cool.
It is epic. Remember, Caesar was the son of Cornelius, and I think he was in Conquest of the Planet of the Apes.
Yes, and he was the Joker in Batman.
What are you talking about?
And
You're talking about Caesar Romero. Shut up. Go back to drawing.
Oh, there's a different
No, Caesar, the Caesar.
Apparently, Caesar Romero, like he was famous as a sort of Latin lover.
Bob's.
But actually, what he liked to do was he would hire young boys to throw like orange wedges or tangerines.
Wait, like in Mighty Boosh?
Like in Mighty Boosh.
Bob's Big Boy.
I don't know if that's where Mighty Boosh got it from.
Bob's Big Boy sells pins at the register, along with all kinds of other Bob's Big Boy related items. One of the places I went on the way back was San Luis Obispo, and to this amazing used music store called Cheap Thrills. And next to Cheap Thrills, it's in essence the same building, is Nemo's comic and used DVDs. I highly recommend that place when you're in San Luis Obispo, along with Boo Boo Records and Phoenix Used Books. But
if you can find it,
yeah, or if you have GPS, and you know.
But yeah, GPS has made it a lot easier to find.
Cheap Thrills even carries enamel pins. So I got a Rosie and Great Gazoo. So you can tell that these guys. You can tell that these guys know that their target market is boomers and Gen X.
Well, who are unfortunately boomers are aging out of their collecting phase now.
Yes, they're into depth cleaning. Now, one of the best places to go in LA, I think, is the Last Bookstore. Turns out they have a sister store called the Lost Bookstore, which I stumbled over. But the Last Bookstore is a favorite of mine because they have a rare book room, and you can pick up some awesome stuff at the Last Bookstore, which is in an old bank building. But they had some pins by the register. I got Satan, and I got Garfield.
Dale, are you just buying Devils because Sergio has
Yes.
Devils?
I got Felix.
You should get a pinball machine. He's got a pinball machine.
I should. I got an awesome.
I had a pinball machine.
I got
for a
an
bit.
awesome Lucy.
I sold it again. It was a bit silly thing to
I
get.
got an awesome.
I know I got really into pinball machine art, and then I saw one for sale, and it included delivery, so I got it. But then, like, it really took up like most of my studio. It was a very big one, and after a while, I was able to sell it to a friend, so that worked out.
I think Brian Flyland.
Who do we sell it to?
Jason Dunham bought it, and
Down for the
for
cabin.
their place up.
Okay.
I think Brian Fryland, who's a Clip Studio Paint evangelist, he does amazing sports mascot and pinball machine art. In fact, I think he does alternate pinball machine art if you want to upgrade your pinball machine. He also, I think, still sells brushes for Clip Studio Paint. But I got this awesome Lucy at her psychiatry booth. And
Lucy!
I got, and this is awesome, Spy versus Spy.
Whoa, that's nice.
Now, they had a Rat Fink, but they ran out, and they wouldn't let me buy the one in the case. So I was really pissed.
Oh.
And then, you know, I was actually wearing my Rat Fink bowling shirt, and the clerk was a kid, and he knew that Rat Fink was cool, but he didn't know the origin of Rat Fink, so I had to show him how to Google Big Daddy Roth. They don't teach kids anything these days in school.
Oh, I know. I really wanted to get those cars. Like, I remember they got them in at our toy store, but then they went out, and you couldn't. Never saw them again.
Oh, also, I forgot this one. Don't Panic.
Oh, yes. Well, I know what that's from.
So if you're a Star Trek fan, you know that. Now, one of the best places I ate while I was down there, if you're in LA and you're a carnivore, you got to go to Felipe's, which is the home of the French dip. There are two restaurants in LA that claim they invented the French dip, and they still serve French dips. There's Cole's, which is a bar not that far away from the Last Bookstore. And then there's Felipe's, the original. And my recommendation is just go to Felipe's. And the cool thing about Felipe's is they actually sell French dip Christmas ornaments.
Is that something people want to buy?
Of course.
Oh, I forgot. I can't. I have to show you this. Look what I found when I was at Monsterpalooza.
Oh, is that the Zardoz soundtrack?
Blu-ray.
Whoa.
Region 2. So I'm hoping that my region-free Blu-ray player will play it. And it's a new 4K digital restoration. And it has brand new interviews with Borman, Sarah Kestelman, the production designer Anthony Pratt, special effects creator Gary Johnston. It's just I asked one of the dealers at Monsterpalooza, do you have anything Zardoz related? And they had a couple Blu-rays. One was Region 1, but it didn't have all the extras, so Region 2, baby. Kids, this is a reminder. Always get a region-free Blu-ray DVD player if you're a video collector.
But isn't this going to make all your Zardoz DVDs redundant?
No, I give away the DVDs.
Yeah, but people are going to be like, I don't want a DVD. I want a Blu-ray with all the
Yeah,
extras.
well, tough. You're not getting this. And I did bring down 5 Zardoz heads. I gave away 4 of them. They were all well received. There was a great. It wasn't Larry Edmonds. There's I forget the name of it, but there's another bookstore that sells Hollywood memorabilia. This one was in Burbank, and I was able to get this old book, Michael Caine on acting. So if you want to learn how to act like Michael Caine,
my name is Michael Caine. You turn up and you do as many bloody films as they'll let you.
Yeah, it says on page 1.
Michael Caine.
It says on page 1 that you answer the phone. I will take the role.
You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off.
Actually, the name of his autobiography is Blowing the Bloody Doors Off.
Yep.
But if you're interested in how Michael Caine acts, there's an awesome video of him teaching acting students. You can find it on YouTube. I don't know how many decades old it is, but I would suggest watching it. I picked this up because I watched that video and I kind of wanted to read it. And remember, Michael Caine won't be around forever, so appreciate him now. Now,
but at the moment, he has been around forever. That's interesting, isn't it? Right now, he's been around forever, but in a minute, he won't be around.
Now,
in a minute, what do you know?
When I was in San Luis,
shut up.
When I was in San Luis Obispo, I did go to Phoenix Books, and Phoenix Used Books had this awesome guide to modern cartooning from the oh God, what's the name of that? The Walter Foster art book series. This is modern cartooning, and the date is I'm trying to find any public. I don't know if there's any publication dates on this, but I thought you'd be interested in this, Chuck, because you're interested in modern cartooning.
Sure.
All right. Now, if you're an art nerd and you were in Southern California, there is one bookstore that all the art and comic nerds go to. You can order stuff online from them, so you don't have to go. It's called Stuart Eng Books, and Eng is spelled N-G. And he has old classic how-to books. He has old collections of illustrators, cartoonists, artists. He has imported books from France and Europe. It's just this amazing store. and art students, people in the entertainment industry, illustrators, cartoonists, they all make a pilgrimage to go there. Stuart Eng is a very knowledgeable bookseller. He also doesn't seem to age. I'm convinced that there's a painting of him somewhere in the warehouse where he's this decrepit old man, and it's like the picture of Dorian Gray, but it's the portrait of Stuart Eng.
Yeah.
And he's always very nice to me. I've met him over the years at various conventions. If you've been to a big convention like WonderCon or San Jose's lamented, now gone Big Wow, he'll have great art books. You can usually tell if a convention is good. Stuart Eng is going to have a table there.
Now,
So,
do you think the future holds anything good, or is only the good things only ever in the past?
all the good stuff's in the past. So I went to Stuart Eng's. I had not been there in 5 years. I am convinced that he smelled my desperation and my wallet, so he came out rather than let the staff help me. And I spent a lot of money on Stuart Eng's.
Yeah, he's probably got a little AI that sort of scans your head movements when you walk in and sort of says, "Oh, we got the right one."
I'm sure my picture is somewhere. One of the things I picked up, they have the collection of
you're on the retailer's top customer database. Like all the retailers got a little app that alerts them when a good customer's coming in.
Don't laugh. Companies like Walmart and Costco are researching things like that. We are going to have a future one day where they scan your head, no price labels, and you'll be charged according to what they think you should be charged in their database.
Yeah, I already did. I've got an Amazon cartoon with this guy with all the Amazon packages flying to his door.
Yeah, and I know that when I come
Amazon's AI just gets me.
Well, I know that when I come up to your place for open studio and I ask how much something is, you charge me $100 more than the other people who go to your open studio.
What are you talking about?
So
my pricing's very fixed.
These Morpho
Everything's the
books,
same price now.
you can find these are great little references for people learning to draw. I picked up a few Fat Folds, and their animal book is good, and their book on drapery is good. If you're looking for these are starting to become common. Try your local Barnes and Noble. Now, one of the cool things about Stuart Eng's is they will often sell self-printed zine-like sketchbooks. So I picked up, I didn't even know these artists. I flipped through them. Royo Yambi, I really liked the sketches in this, so I picked this up. They didn't do a bad job. They spent a little money on the printing. And then a little lower quality, a spiral bound. And this is by, I didn't even look at the author. Trying to find the author. I think it's Besson. It's all pre-production sketches for a little comic that they did. And that's one of the neat things that you can find there at Stuart Eng's is you'll find books and sketchbooks that have incomplete stuff, character design, things that an art student would like. Now,
all right, we've got 9 minutes left. Now, what do you think this is all right? Do you think I need to put some wash on it? You're going to say no. I want to put wash on it. All right.
No, don't put any wash on it.
I won't because it's going to go in the newspaper thing. I don't think they have such good print in the newsletter.
So I still have a lot more stuff from Stewarding Books, but I will save that for another time. All I can say is if you're going to be in Southern California, LA or Anaheim, they're over in Ventura. So it's a bit of a drive, but it's totally worth it. Check their hours, call them, make sure they're there and not at a convention, and go to Stewardings. And if you don't want to make the drive, just look for their website. Remember, Eng is spelled NG, and you will drop a mortgage payment there. Trust me. But you'll find amazing books.
I don't spend money. I'm a cartoonist. I can't afford to spend money.
Yeah, you see, that's the thing is, the money, kids, is not in cartooning. The money is in art supply sales.
Well, no, the money's in banking. Go into banking if you want to make money. I mean, you'll be bored and have a miserable life, but
you see, bankers have spouses. The spouses want to do something while the banker's at work, so they take art classes, and the art classes mean they have to buy art supplies.
I don't know.
Oh, it's good to be back. I wish I had done a little more cartooning, but
yeah.
Remember, kids, the whole purpose of life is to buy stuff.
Well, that's one point of view. I think the whole point of life is to make stuff.
Yes, and then what do you do with it?
Nothing.
No, you sell it.
No, you do nothing.
You sell the stuff that you make. Didn't you just have a freaking Kickstarter?
Oh, I did.
Yeah.
Well, that was just for the fans.
God.
That's just something I do for the fans.
Yeah.
Basically, I just gave myself a lot of work. Now I've got to draw in all these books and send them out to everybody.
Sucker.
Got to get them printed. Got to get it finished. I basically just gave myself a chore.
Yeah.
But, I got to do it for the art, because, aliens, we haven't found them yet. So, this might be the only art. In the future, people won't be able to do art because they'll have done so much AI. So, actually handmade art will become very valuable in the future. All right. Dr. Zaius.
Dr. Zaius was an orangutan.
All right. Maybe he had some surgery, got a dye job. All right. Well, I'm glad that mask is it's a little more scary. That was a bit scary. I feel like you might attack me looking like that. That's more an aggressive looking mask.
I bought the mask. I went back to Larry Edmonds, and they had a nice stack of gorilla related stuff for me. And I asked them, will you give me a discount? Because I like a gorilla discount. And I put the mask on, and they said no because they had seen me before the mask. So I had to pay the human price.
Oh. Well, yeah, I mean, that all sounds like furry stuff. Yeah, sure. If you're a furry.
Okay, stop the furry jokes.
It's not really a joke. I mean, isn't it? I mean, I thought gorilla suits just sort of...
Gorilla suiting is completely different from being a furry.
How is it different?
It predates it.
Okay.
Would you call a guy in a Chewbacca suit a furry?
Yeah.
Okay. You just don't.
All right. Okay. I wouldn't. Okay. No, it's true. Furries are specifically those manga kind of characters that look like Robin Hood, Disney's Robin Hood.
Yeah, there's a difference between a furry and a gorilla suit.
I mean, Disney's Robin Hood. Do you think when they were making that they knew that they were inspiring like an entire genre?
No, but they did know that there would be mascots made of those characters.
It's a good movie. I do like Disney's Robin Hood.
Yeah, I think that recycles some dance scenes from the Jungle Book. and I think a dance scene from what is it called?
Jungle Book didn't have better music.
The Aristocats.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Really, you want to wager?
They recycled them. How do you mean?
Same animation. They just redraw different characters over the animation. I'm willing to bet money on this.
Yeah, maybe you heard that. I don't know if that's true. I'm not willing to bet money on it, but I've seen those movies and I didn't think, they
All
reusing
right,
that sequence.
kids, decide for yourself. Look on YouTube. There are people who compare it. So it's a great
Well,
drawing.
yeah. And likewise, like you can listen to Dark Side of the Moon, watch Wizard of Oz, and they do sync up remarkably strangely.
Yeah, but oh god. All right, but tell us about this drawing you just did.
Okay, so this is for some adventure for Goodman Games to do the lair of the ice worm or something, the white worm. These are mammoth. They're a cross between like mammoths and giants called Truskers,
Okay.
and they're about to hurl javelins at the heroes who are trying to negotiate with them.
Okay.
So that was the brief.
All right. Are you pleased with it?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so.
Are you do you have this overwhelming urge to put a wash on it?
I don't know. I mean, the thing is, like, when I look at black and white comic book art, I always sort of the shadows and stuff always bug me a bit. So I find that even on the best people. So I'm always trying to like, what's the best way to do it? I do find like having a wash solves most of the issues for me.
Okay. Are you gonna wash it?
I don't know. You said you didn't think I should.
Well, you never listen to me, even though I'm always right.
I might do. I guess it's the end of the show now, so I might go and have some lunch and think about that. I mean, I've got a map to do. I'm going to do the wash on that. Yeah, I think I am because I just like how they come out better when I do the wash. They look all finished to me.
All right.
The black and white, I'm a bit like because there's no midterms. Everything's like into this sort of black. It's either black or white. I'm like, well, I mean it becomes more graphical. So I don't know. I'm always a bit confused about
what does the brief from Goodman Games say?
that I told you. That's it.
They don't tell you if they want wash or not.
No.
All right.
They don't care.
Have you considered stippling?
I mean, that takes forever. I mean, yeah, if you want to sit here all day and do stippling, which I don't, they don't pay me enough for stippling.
Well, you could use some masking frisket and then use a toothbrush you stick into ink and just flick.
Yeah, I've got all day to sit and cut out masking friskets when I can just do a quick wash and it will be all solved in like 10 minutes.
All right, fine. Do a freaking wash. Now, is it going to be an ink wash or gray watercolor?
I've used the black watercolor, and I did it on black watercolor paper. That gives me the most control.
All right. Well, it's a lovely piece. Make sure the ink is dry.
Yeah, I'm going to go eat some lunch. I'm a bit disappointed because I can't watch Doctor Who because they finished the season. It was pretty good. It was a pretty good season of Doctor Who on Disney. It was better than the first Disney season. I felt like they finally sort of got in their strides, but I've heard people complain about it as usual. But, I do say with Doctor Who, you've got to wait at least 30 years before you can judge it. But also, I've got an apology to make because I started actually watching season 2 of Clone Wars, and season 2 takes a massive leap better in season 2. I mean, there's some really exciting stuff going on, so I'll probably go watch a bit of Clone Wars. But I was a bit down on Clone Wars because I didn't really think. I watched season 1 of Clone Wars when it came out. I was like, all right, it's just kind of a kiddie cartoon. There's not really a lot going on here. But actually, they really kind of take it up a level in season 2, and I've heard it gets much better. And I didn't realize there were so many seasons of it, and they're quite long seasons. So there's a lot of Clone Wars to get through.
You know what I watched recently?
Zardoz.
Yes, but Sabrina wouldn't let me play it on the trip. I watched the pilot movie 1966 for Dragnet. And that's because I was going to Pismo Beach on the way back. Because remember, Officer Gannon fixed his health by eating lots of clams at Pismo Beach. So we went to Brad's restaurant in Pismo Beach, and I had clam chowder and fried clams. The waiter
we had a nice little holiday down there one year.
What?
We had a nice little holiday down there in Pismo Beach one year.
Pismo's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for the clams and the cinnamon rolls.
It's the end of the show now.
Yeah, that never stopped us. You want to just roll the credits and then keep talking?
Roll the end credits. Well, what have I done with them? There they are. All right. So thanks very much, everybody. Thank you, Dale Sipperly, for telling us all about Monsterpalooza.
Did we have anyone watching?
Yeah, we have 3 viewers. We've had about 3 viewers.
That's the sort of number that goes up or down because people like tune in and tune out. When I look at the things, people tune in for a minute and then they go.
It's probably Huey, my cat, and Coco the pug. Then
whoever it is, there we are. Some artwork for Goodman Games. That's going to be, I think, in the Goodman Gazette or in a module. Oh no, I think it's in the. I don't know. They do all these things, and they're currently doing one for the City State of the Invincible Overlord, and he's only running that Kickstarter for a week. Okay. And let's see where he's up to.
Will that original artwork be available for sale anywhere?
Yes. Let's see. City State of the Invincible Overlord. Kickstarter.
No, I have to.
Yeah, that's the old one.
I got to come up to see you in a week or so or soon because some of this crap that I bought is going to end up in this place.
Is this it? No, that's the old one. Oh no, he doesn't do it on Kickstarter anymore. He does it on BackerKit. Wait,
dude, run the credits.
Wait. I just want to check in on this. Hang on. So you say the Invincible Overlord BackerKit. Here it is. All right, he's up to 480,000 with 4 days left. All right. I think he was hoping this was going to go more, but all right, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
480,000.
Yes.
Whoa.
I think he was hoping it was going to be like his first $1 million Kickstarter, but there was a bit of controversy, which he got over it. But yeah, well, we'll go into that another time. But anyway, check out his statement on that. That's good. All right, end of show. All right, thanks everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for backing my Kickstarter. Everybody who backed Kickstarter, I owe you guys. A couple of you getting original art. So thanks to them.
I'm getting floor sweepings from his studio.
Yeah, you're getting. You better come out and have a pick. There's one guy who backed before you that I have to give them the first dibs. But there is a number of very good pieces there that are, I think.
Yeah, like the ones you scribbled about me and Amber. I still have those.
All right, here's the theme tunes. We'll be back next week, I guess. All right, bye.
Bye, kids.
Here's a theme song for Chuck Whelan Showy. He asked me to write one, but I stole from David Bowie. Here's a theme song. Chuck Whelan is the best. We have lots of hosts, but we're running out of gas. Will you be our guest on? Will you be our guest on? Beyond the Chuck Whelan Show. Whoa, 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 whoa.